everyone, welcome to an algebra tutorial video learning about how to subtract polynomials. But we're going to do it using a vertical method. So it's a different method than horizontally, but it may help see how to organize and keep things, especially positives, negatives, subtraction, addition, how to keep everything organized and not lose those negative signs. Alright, so subtracting polynomials, basically what I want to do is line everything up vertically by like terms, because I can only add or subtract like terms together, right? We learned that way back in the beginning of working with algebra. For example, here I've got a 3y squared. That y squared, I can only add terms or subtract terms that also have a y squared. So I'm going to reline everything up vertically by if they're like term or not. So here we go. Take your first polynomial and write it all the way out. Whoops. So I'm going to go 3y squared minus, I'm actually going to change it to plus, we've got a negative 9y, and then we got a negative 10. Now I'm going to subtract from that, so let's write a subtraction sign, and I'm going to have 8y cubed. Now this y cubed, I'm not going to line it up underneath the y squared, so let's actually move the subtraction sign to the left, put a 0 up here because there is no y cubed term, but underneath that I'm going to subtract 8y to the third. Alright, now I've got 8y to the third, I've also got negative 2y squared, so let's put my negative 2y squared under there. I don't have any term to y to the first, so I'm going to put a 0 here, and I've got a negative 6 there. So all I did was line everything up by like term. I put some zeros for some placeholders, so there's a 0y there, and I put my subtraction sign right there. So here, this will hopefully help me see what I need to add or subtract. I got to be careful though if I'm subtracting a negative to turn it into positive. But here we go. So I've got 0y to the third, and I'm going to subtract 8y to the third from that. Well, the net effect of that is to have negative 8y to the third. Now I've got 3y squared. I'm going to subtract negative 2y squared. Well, here I've got subtracting a negative. What's going to happen is it's going to turn into an addition problem. So it's 3y squared plus 2y squared, which is going to give me 5y squared. I've got negative 9y minus 0y. So negative 9 minus 0 is just going to stay negative 9y. And finally, we got negative 10 minus negative 6. There's that double negative again, so it turns into negative 10 plus 6, which is still going to be a negative number. It's negative 4. Alright, so hopefully, it's a different way of looking at it or working through the problem versus horizontally in the distributive property. But sometimes we're used to adding things up and down, and it might make it easier to add or subtract your polynomials up and down as well. Another thing you could do is line them up vertically, but instead of writing the subtraction, I could have written a plus sign and changed it to addition with the opposite. So I could then say, well, that's negative 8 plus 2, negative 0, which doesn't, it doesn't really matter, and then plus 6. So I could have distributed the negative sign through here. Instead of doing it like in my head, like what we did, now I can see it's, 0 plus negative 8, 3 plus 2, negative 9 and 0, negative 10 plus 6. So that might be an easier way to distribute as well, rather than leaving it as a negative sign and trying to remember all the negatives. But there you go. There's a good example of subtracting polynomials using a vertical method. Whether you distribute the negative or whether you bring it down here, you just have to make sure that negative number is affecting every term in the second polynomial.